I'll be the last questioner. Ms. Weichert, I think it was you in your opening that mentioned the diminution of trust, public trust, and the government in general, not just employees, but government in general. Is there any data, and what does it show in terms of what generates that distrust? Because it'd be tough to work for an entity that that people didn't trust.
So the data that I referenced there is referenced in the document, the President's Management Agenda, which I could bring out additional components. But we actually looked at specific areas, and we highlight in that report what the particular areas of problem that the American people have. And in a lot of cases, I think the issues are issues of balance and issues of, is government focused on the right issues? Are they primarily focused on mission? Are they focused on giving people the services they need when they want them, when they need them? I think a lot of the distrust actually comes from the hyper-partisan kind of dialogues that they see on the television. And what we see when we've done some of these listening tours, talking to federal employees, talking to citizens all over the country about what they're looking for, they value the services that our employees deliver. They absolutely appreciate when, you know, FEMA is there to rescue them for a flood, or a USDA employee is there to help protect their home in a fire, whether they're in California or Wyoming. But what they don't like is all the blockages to getting things done the right way. And when, you know, they have to hang on hold forever if they're trying to deal with death benefits, if they're a survivor of a veteran, things of that nature.
So there's an efficiency component, if I heard you correctly, and then there's just the general political environment that we find ourselves in, and that when you constantly hear how untrustworthy government is, it tends to shockingly have an impact on the listener from time to time.
Absolutely, and I feel like we've got an opportunity, and I mean this most sincerely. Good government is an area where I absolutely believe we can have bipartisan support. I've actually been completely gratified by the types of dialogues I've had with members of this body and other folks about these issues. So I really believe we can help change both the outcomes and the process.
All right, well, this is what I want you to do for me. I've heard you use the word bipartisan a couple of times. I heard Chairman Meadows use it a couple of times, but I also had a really good opportunity to listen to the ranking member's opening statement. And it was not complimentary on the Trump administration and how they view federal workers. Lay aside the fact that I disagreed with most of it and been a federal worker for a large part of my life, as have other members on my side. Take the time I have left and convince, not us, but people who may be watching, that this administration and the changes you propose are rooted and motivated in a respect for federal workers and a desire to make it better.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of this starts with listening. And I heard what the ranking member said, and I think these are very valid concerns. They're not unique concerns to government. These are issues that our fellow citizens, whether they work in government or they work in the private sector, face. They face challenges of dislocation. They face concerns about, you know, taking care of their families and you know, doing their daily business. We need to have a fact-based conversation, and you know, I think it starts in this particular instance with the data around the Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey, and it starts with how do we address the problems the federal employees themselves find to be the biggest barriers to serving the American people. And when I look at those things, there are things around performance-based compensation. There are things around, do they have the resources to do their job? It's things around, are the right merit system principles in place so that the best people get the best compensation and the worst people aren't there to disrupt the work of everyone else. I think those are the things that we legitimately are trying to use a fact base to tackle, and then use the tools that blend the best of IT modernization, the best of data and analytics, with helping elevate the work that our American workers do to serve the American people.
I'm out of time, and then we'll recognize a gentleman from Missouri. There have been a number of witnesses throughout the time I've been on this committee that have sat at the table where you are, and they have described conduct that is not just poor performance, it is trending towards criminal. In fact, had it been reported and investigated and prosecuted, it would have been criminal. So under the general heading of morale, I would think not having to work for someone who is simply moved from position to position after credible allegations of sexual harassment, I would think being able to terminate that kind of conduct, that's not poor performance.
No.
That's criminal. So to the extent you can address that, it would be the right thing to do and also good for morale. With that, the gentleman from Missouri.